You've flown the jets, you've been on the yachts, you've run with the best, you know and have the phone numbers of who's who in so many worlds. And yet, underneath that is a guy who says, I came from Phoenix City, Alabama, and God put his hand on my life when I didn't have a big direction. And man, if I look back, you could write a book about that and say, wow, what a story. Charlie downplays his success and who he is. He don't brag about it. And I just love the fact, if you want to know humility, you're it. If you want to know a guy who's succeeded and who, no matter what the storm comes, adversity comes, he may say sometimes, boy, that's a pretty big blow. But next thing you know, he saddled up another horse and he's running the race again. And so I love that about you, Charlie. Right now, also, one of your fortes is not only just knowing it and having done it, but the consulting business. Mm-hmm. Like even now, you're helping other people to open gyms. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the consulting. What's that like?
Yeah, I guess, I enjoy owning clubs. At one point, Tim and I owned 13 clubs, but my sweet spot is consulting. I enjoy helping other people. It stimulates your mind, and it ranges from the boutique business. I've got 2 franchise society, one here in Columbus and one in Buckhead, and we want to grow that. I love Orange Theory, want to compete with them, and I'm a fan of theirs.
Yeah.
I flew down to Tampa years ago and took one of the first workouts in Orange Theory, fell in love with it years ago, and so my partner doesn't like me to say that name, but I give them credit. Right. They're a good group.
Their goal is to keep your heart rate at a certain place, right?
There is. They move it up and down. It's a perfect balance between strength and cardio, designed by a coach. Mm-hmm. It's one of the best 1-hour workouts you can get, and we try to do that. And so but the consulting part, whether it be in a large club or in a small club, I love the idea of knowing that when you look at the nation, I know those clubs that are doing well, and I just as a good copycat. Yeah. Let's copy what's going on in Tallahassee, Florida, Momentum Fitness, because they're killing it in personal training. Let's go down there and talk to Doug Dixon and his staff. Let's go over here and talk to somebody else, and you just share that information, because it's not what Charlie says, it's because that's actually what they're doing.
Right.
Because the confidence level comes from people getting in shape, members are happy, and P&Ls.
Yeah.
And so it's that proper balance between us two.
And you're bringing them the information. You're actually doing all the legwork for them on the front end.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Because now we've had great success with Warner Robins in the middle of COVID. Mm-hmm. Got a fantastic owner over there. So we literally, that's why right now we go to Warner Robins, because people say, well, don't do it New Health Club now because of COVID. Well, we did it. It's making a lot of money. And we designed the club. It's got aquatics. It's got a lot of square footage devoted to personal training. We have our push product in there, which is a version of drop-in model, what I call Orange Theory drop-in model. So I'm very proud of the club, and we've already got commitments for those clubs, and those are somewhere between $8 to $9 million a club.
That's sweet.
And so we're excited about it.
Yeah, I hope that thing takes on. I know it will, because I think it's the right timing for you. Let me go back and ask you this. Women sometimes, you kind of taught us, you taught Debbie the same thing about weights and weight training is important, not just for men, but for women.
Oh, yeah.
And, women think, sometimes they'll judge themselves. They'll say, well, I'm overweight, or I hadn't worked out. Maybe I ought to just run all this, weight off. And they say, I'm never going to be like that bodybuilder. I won't be a Corey Everson. But every woman really needs to work on the weight. What's the benefit of that, and what does it do for her?
Yeah, and it's really proportionally the same advantage it is for men. Now, obviously, the women have testosterone, just a small amount compared to guys, but they still need to make sure they train hard to keep that muscle on as much as they can in proportion. Again, same principle. More muscle, higher metabolism, more you burn calories, the better you stay in shape, and also it looks better because there again, you're not only just whatever ideal body shape, but actually it's toned and tight and and looks good. I'm sorry, it looks good, and so that's why women I'm sorry, I'm in the body business. Matter of fact, I bet my partner, Justin Canoria, one of my partners in Atlanta the other day, and he's 6'4", and one of these guys that makes you mad, Bill. He's so good looking, he's pretty.
Yeah.
and so the first thing I said is, you gained some weight. He said, how'd you know? I said, I'm in the body business. I know it. I know but it's male or female, I know. And he said, well, I have. And I said, well, is it good weight or bad weight? I was going to kid him with that. And he said, well, a little bit of both, But again, it is understanding that, it's okay to put on muscle weight. It's good. It looks good, right? And there's more knowledge of that now than there's ever been in the history of fitness. And so there's no such thing as women are going to get overbooked. They don't have the testosterone level to get too much. I wished it was like, and I hate to bust some of my guy buddies, but I don't want to get all bulked up. Promise you won't. First of all, you're not going to work out that hard enough to do that, right? And but to women be toned up and have good legs and great hips and the in fashion thing now is the butt, to have a nice toned butt. I mean, we literally, or every time we get phone calls, personal training, women right now, that's the fashionable thing to have big butts. So we talk about that.
And there's part of where you can. I guess you can isolate the part of your body, the muscle of your body that you want to work.
100% you can do that. And speaking of that demand, I stayed at the Courtyard Marriott downtown Greenville last night. And they had one adjustable bench in front of the dumbbells. It was a nice little fitness center in the hotel. But I made a suggestion to them, you got to have at least 2 benches because you've got 6 pieces of cardio. You've got to think. And because now all of a sudden you had a log jam for us.
Yeah.
In the thing, right? And I said, what's taking place is, over the years, I said, it's old thinking. You get 6 options cardio, you have 1 option weightlifting, where there's more demand. And the manager actually listened to me. And I said, I'm not trying, it's a nice place and this, that, and other, but I'm just telling you, you need a minimum of 2 of those benches because the thought process is different.
Yes.
And the front desk receptionist girls was there talking, and I said, because you enjoy weightlifting too, don't you? And she said, yes, because they teach that in school now. They didn't even teach that to me when I was in school, much less women. And it's just such a refreshing thing to see.
Yeah, and when we came up, it was only an elite group of guys that wanted to get into defining and building their muscle.
Yes. Exactly.
And then over the years, the women started getting into it, like the Corys.
Yep.
But by and large, other guys got into it. Women didn't get that kind of encouragement that you can have what you want and it's available.
Well, and even, Michelle Obama, they used to talk about her arms all the time, shoulders and arms when she wore sleeveless thing, that's another. Well, that came from weight training. So you can be the first lady and get a compliment. I mean, she's smart and all other things, but a lot of people talked about her arms.
Well, I did a podcast last week with a girl whose name was Michaela Blaska. And she is the 56th woman to graduate from Ranger school. And, just built, and you can see the guns on her and all that. Sweetest spirit, but she went out and competed with all the men and literally, surpassed most of them. And you couldn't ask anybody better, but she was healthy, she was at peace, you could just see everything about it. There was a confidence. And you could just tell the physical transferred over to her. It was almost like the mental made the physical better, and then the physical made the mental better, and it was just a total good cycle.
And Bill, I don't know why. After I graduated Auburn, they had they brought all the strongest men in the world. They had the National Strength Committee at Auburn University for about a 5-year period of time. It's sponsored by Diversified Product. That's how Bill Kazmaier got there. Your friend, my friend too.
Yes.
And so literally I was lucky to get to know the strongest men and strongest men in the world. But when I started getting to know them, it was amazing. Pound for pound, the women were just tougher than the guys. I'm sorry. And then, got into Ironman training. Same thing. When I really analyzed who I was going to bet on pound per pound, I don't know what it is about those daggum girls, but they have it going on compared to the toughness, in my opinion. Everything being the same. It's fun, and it's funny. It's funny because I'm lucky to have Lori Yamashita. She was electrical engineer, world-class power lifter, and it was funny to watch her intimidate guys. It was the first time I actually saw guys being intimidated by girls because she could out-squat them per pound for out deadlifting this and another. And that was years ago. That was back in '79. And so, but it's amazing how you can, when it's all said and done with, it's amazing how great and impressive those women are in different fields of that. And it's just fun to watch, but it's also fun to watch how they intimidate guys that just have a loser mentality.
I find that when I be at a gym sometimes when I get on a treadmill and just about get off, and some girl will come up and get up beside me and she starts running, and I don't want to get off now. She's made me run further, and some of them really finally say, I got to get off because she can go all
Oh, no, without a shadow of a doubt.
Now let me ask you this. Children, what's the best age to get children into lifting weights and working out?
You know, it's a good question. There's some debates about, bone maturity and marrow, this sort of thing. If you get into heavy weights, before the ages, somewhere between 12 to even 14, right? But the key is, what I always say, start the mental process early, and then I think things like, crunches that we talk about. I'm just a big crunch fan. I don't even do a traditional sit-up. Crunches and push-ups and things about maybe some dips, maybe some pull-ups. I think you can start as early as 10 or 11, right? Just with natural body weight. And then as you progress, as long as they're supervised, and you have general common sense of the particular, but I think it can start as early as 12 or 13. But I think weight training needs to be real similar to just most sports. If they want to do it, hey, you encourage them with that thorns, but just don't push somebody into it. But if they do that, along with other sports, they are going to have a foundation. And to me, the difference between sports, let's be honest, 99% of everybody's not going to go past sports past high school, right? And so, but they can keep the weight training because it's healthy. And they can keep the knowledge of cardio. I had a wonderful track coach. Obviously, I'm not built for track at all. But I had a wonderful track coach in Sam Roberts. As a matter of fact, when I was at Glenwood, we won the state all 3 years. But it was because of him and his coaching. But it was a matter of him getting us mentally to saying we were going in the best shape. In high school, you can do that; you can in best shape. But again, with the younger kids, you can start them mentally, but body weight only up until about 11 or 12. But in supervised, like we're really moving that age down. If a parent's willing to come with a child, we'll go all the way down to 12.
Yeah, and I would think too for some. Children nowadays, a lot of food that you get, this fast food stuff, all this junk, just puts the fat on them. Yeah. And they're young, and so they're already having to battle that and don't even know it, and it'll become something that the rest of their life they may battle if they don't stop.
It really is, Bill, and that probably bothers me more than anything. I love your philosophy. I'm gonna love you anyway. So part of my job is to coach people in fitness, and so therefore. I will generally eat better and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna encourage people. Now, if you want to eat pies every day, I'm still gonna love you. Okay, but that's okay. Right. But one of the things that bothers me is, an adult can eat bad and that's okay. But all of a sudden, an adult eat bad and then they encourage their children to eat bad or don't think. Now we got a problem because that's not fair, right? Because they're at a disadvantage. And so I think we as adults need to be more disciplined there. If nothing else, to encourage our kids. That's right. Right. Yeah. Because a lifetime of unhealthiness is a sad life,
Yes, and they get made fun of in school. And
they do.
Don't quite fit.
Yeah.
And then, and in this day and time, what's crazy is they start them so early with a cell phone in their hand.
Yes.
And doing
video games.
Yeah. And you want to think if you could get that kid to pick up a weight, 1/10 as much as they do their cell phone, you'd have a healthier child.
No, we were laughing. One of my best buddies and great partner in my consulting company, Jeremy Blowers, had his little girl, Noli, there, and they literally have taught her how to do body squats already. I've got a videotape on my phone of Noli doing body. That's what I'm talking about, mentally training, right? Yeah. But it's so funny just watching the good habits that you can start so early, just watching that.
And you really are too, Charlie. I say that you're one of the biggest and best. In fact, in the people I've known in my life, I love you like a brother. You've been the help and the friend of the most loyal, and I can't say enough good. And I see in you. I remember when we would go into some of the gyms that you own when you had I think it was Max Fitness. We'd go in there and all the employees, everybody else, they'd pick it up because you walked in the door. But I remember one time seeing you, and there was a lady that had been really kind of struggling. She was overweight and out of shape, but she was trying. And I remember watching you when everybody was looking out, there's Mr. Lindsey, and they all, the boss is here. You just broke loose and went straight to her, called her by name, told her, I'm so proud of you. And you looked over there on the treadmill at what she was doing, and you said something like, wow, you've already run so-and-so, you're doing. And I mean, at that moment, I said, here's a guy that it's not about, you didn't walk in and ask the accountant, how much do we make today? You didn't go over there and ask the manager, how many people signed up today? But you walked over there just from the heart to a lady who you knew was looking at some people that had been more experienced, and you encouraged her. And I remember thinking, man, if people just knew Charlie is a good man, and what you did there for me was little things like that I used to notice. I noticed how loyal you've been to your friends, and I'm honored to be in that group with you. I can't tell you enough. If I'm in trouble and I got one phone call to make, I'm calling you. And bad thing is I always said, because I'm so close to you and love you, if I get in jail, I won't be able to call you. I'll have to turn to you and say, Charlie wasn't that funny.
Another reason I love you.
Now that's been a good thing. It's been a good experience. Now when you're running a business, let me ask you this. How important is it that you have a good plan, obviously, but that you also hire the right people?
Oh, it's everything.
Is it?
I never get the owner of Triton Boats, Ron Bentz, I think. And I apologize if I missed his name, but he originally had Yamaha, did a 5-year non-compete, and he owned Triton, took it to the top. And I never get, they did an interview, and they said, well, you must know everything in the world about boats. Mm-hmm. He said, no, I just buy the best design guy, and I get the best marketing guy, and I just take care of them. Mm. Well, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I've got a great group of people. Mm. They're dedicated. We, again, thanks to you, we have core values. We talk about them all the time. We try to live by them, and that's where things got a scorecard. Mm. And these guys and girls, they're dedicated. They show up and they work hard every day, and they care about what they're doing. They care about the customer, they care about the other staff members, and they care about the owner. Mm-hmm. And if you can keep that right balance of caring and following through, it makes a difference. And then they receive the benefits, but it's just fun. I counted up the other day, Bill, this is crazy. I've got 11 foreign managers that are multimillionaires today.
How about that?
Yeah, one of them sold 30 Planet Fitnesses 2 years ago. Got a big check. I'm not even gonna say how big the check was. All the way down to, just different ones. And it's just so fun watching those guys. That's it. But those guys came through Columbus, Georgia, and they're over there, they're over there, they're over here. Yeah. Sarah Longshore up in, and it's not her married name, forgive me, Sarah, up in Huntsville. She's got Empire Fitness, paid for building, make a lot of money, teaches Bible studies on Fridays in the club, and she's 47th in CrossFit in her age group. Mm-hmm. So she's in great shape, she's doing the right things and making a pile of money, and she started here. And so it's fun watching those people.
That's the thing. The biggest joy, and that's kind of where the like heart comes with us. The biggest joy is watching others get a win. Oh. It's like, we both came from backgrounds where we shouldn't have won, and somebody helped us, and we were blessed, and God's hand protected us, and it's so enjoyable to remember that, and then to say there's somebody else out there, I think I can help them, and to watch them go, and especially even if they go further than you, that's the real thrill.
100%.
There's nothing sweeter to me than watching them do that.
Yeah, I'm like that guy. He said he's starting on his second million. I said, really? He said, yeah, I just gave up on the first one. so I'm that guy.
At least you went forward. I know. Well, let me ask you this then, closing. How about your faith, Charlie? Mm-hmm. Tell me about your faith. And I know even one time there was a growing church in Phoenix City, and they even wanted to get you to be their youth guy. Not that you could have done it, but I know that it's God's will where you are. Yeah. But your faith is respected by many of the folks that know you. So tell me about your faith and what it means to you.
Oh, it's everything. I don't, like I said, I'm lucky from the standpoint that I was grew up in church, North Phoenix Baptist Church, and was encouraged by my 3 older sisters to go to church, and went to Vacation Bible School, and June the 10th, 1966, I accepted Christ there. And so through that, you can tend to take different roads through that, and you know, but the foundation was there. My salvation was there, and so I was really just blessed with, you know, great pastors and great mentors and great friends, you know, thank goodness God blesses a crazy guy and a crazy old man, and I fit both those, and through that I got challenged by one of my former managers to pray before our business meetings, and so we pray before our business meetings, and so what takes place, and trust me, we're not perfect. I'm not close to being perfect, but it's funny how I watch those guys and girls pray and mean it, and to watch that grow, and then to get the privilege to where, because I've always wanted to say that, kind of like what you said earlier, Bill, if one of my guys has a big win, I want to be the first phone call. If he's got a bad problem, I want to have the privilege to call and say, Nephew, pray for me, and to be able to pray for that person. And so at the end of the day, yes, it's the beginning and the end. Yeah. And at the end of the day, recently I've got I get confirmation of different things. But recently, the confirmation is to say, you know, we want contentment, right? And we started talking about that Monday morning at meeting. So my manager says, Charlie, I don't understand what you're talking about. You're pushing me every minute. You're the toughest coach I've ever had. And I said, and that's not going to change. But commitment knows that, hey, you're okay. Like, this is okay. Take an inventory. Be grateful every day. Yeah. You know, we're blessed. Yes. We're blessed. We thank you so much, right? Yeah. And that you can have, and I want you to have that. Now, I want you to hit your goal. I want you to work hard. But you can have it, because I promise you, when you get to whatever, it's always going to be the next thing, always going to be the next day. And if we can get that peace, and that's what faith gives us. Yeah. And faith gives you the ability to be able to say, no matter what's going on, it's going to be okay. Either way. That's right. And I've heard you say that. That's right. And you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And so, yeah.
And I've seen that, Charlie. And I love the fact, in fact, when we would do BPL luncheons, I'd look out and you'd come in there filling up tables with a lot of your employees and the managers and all. And I would think, now here's a guy that took his faith and you put it out in the marketplace, and now you're bringing them back, and it's just beautiful. You really have been a missionary pretty much in that. So your ministry has been just being Charlie, and being the business guy, being the man with the knowledge to be able to help others, both physically and financially, and to set up their lives. But that's been your ministry, and you're the missionary there that I couldn't be. You're the missionary there that others couldn't be. God put you in the right place. I know if you look back over your life, you'll say, you know, there's the hand of God on my life, even when I wasn't aware of it, even when I didn't know that God was at work, even when I wasn't even pursuing God. I look back and God still put enough boundaries and borders there to keep me from running off the edge. And I'm here today because of it.
100%. He gives me so much favor and so blessed, and you know, just blessed. And I believe that he hears my prayers.
Yeah,
And
I know.
That's a
And that's the heart. And I say this, Charlie Lindsey is one of the best men I know anywhere. And I've been blessed having known you. And I know even, on podcasts, the word to go out, people that know you from the business side, they're going to go, well, that's a different Charlie, because I've seen in the business world. I remember one time being in a meeting with you where you called some people in, and you was looking at numbers and asking questions, and there was this side of Charlie. I said, whoa, when he's around me over here, we just he's just low key. But as soon as they shut that door and he's in charge, everybody realizes the game's on, and Bear Bryant just walked on the field. And that's what's beautiful now is you showed your heart today and got a chance to get to say, look, I've been there. You've flown the jets, you've been on the yachts, you've run with the best. You know, and have the phone numbers of who's who in so many worlds. And yet, underneath that is a guy who says, I came from Phoenix City, Alabama, and God put his hand on my life when I didn't have a big direction. And man, if I look back, you could write a book about that and say, wow, what a story.
Oh, it's been fun. And one of my managers was younger, Davrier, 3 brothers, and I had heard about you in Cascade Hills, and I hadn't been here.
Yeah, that's how we met.
And I said, Davin, I heard this is kind of, I'm not sure, I think I used the word progressive or something, but that's a place where you and your wife, girlfriend, to go. And he said, why don't you just join me? I said, all right, fine. So I came, sit in the back seat, and heard you and liked what I heard. And matter of fact, I'll never forget, you were bragging on the daycare. Y'all had just renovated the daycare, and I loved your honesty. You said, no, we want the kids to say, I don't want to leave, And I said, well, I understand what he's saying now, because that's health club stuff, right? I understand it. I said, I love the honesty. Yeah. And so I kept coming back, and I sit in the back row, and I said, this is going to be great. I'll get here late, leave early, nobody will know I'm here. And I called my sister, got 3 older sisters, middle sister, Gloria, who's a stud.
Yeah.
She's vice president of Phoenix Georgia.
I know her. She's awesome.
She is.
Yes.
And got 3 great sisters. And I said, Bill Purvis is going to call and ask to meet me. And so she said, you're crazy. He's way too busy. He's not going to call. And I said, well, maybe you're right. And the next week, Butch called. And I remember we had lunch, y'all. And I made my mind, whatever y'all was going to ask me, I was going to say no. And so when I got there, I realized, and I think I even told y'all that, I hope you don't ask me to like dress in a dress and come to church, because I'll probably say yes to that too. And so anyway, that started our relationship.
Wow, that's right. Yeah. I remember that day. I remember telling Butch, I said, listen, I'm getting caught by so many people. I see this guy back there. I know. One is we connect. When I say anything business-wise or anything else, he's nodding. He's the guy. And I said, Butch, can you connect me with him, because I can't get to him before he's gone. And so Butch came in and said, I got us a lunch set up. We went to Old Charlie's restaurant, got a back table. I remember it. And I remember sitting there talking to you. The more I listened to you, I said, good night. This guy's, he delivers the goods. The biggest thing people don't know about Charlie Lindsey, and I'm telling you now, I say this on camera with my right hand raised. Charlie downplays his success and who he is. He don't brag about nothing. I remember one time you kept encouraging me and Debbie to, and I never use anybody for nothing. I'd rather not. I'd rather sleep on the street. And you kept saying, you need to go sometime when you're in this particular place in Florida on the beach. Go stay in a place over there. And I'd say, nah, I'm not going to do it. Thank you, Charlie, but I'm not going to do that. And so Debbie and I one night.
I guilted you.
Yeah, that's right. One night something happened. I said, okay. I said, well, instead of making it all the way back, I'll call Charlie and see if we can stay here at his place. And so I called you. Absolutely, Bill. Go up to the gate and give the guy the code, and I'll have it ready for you. I remember when I walked in the door, I looked at him and I said, Charlie been holding out on me. I said, help me, Rhonda. I've heard people say the man is a top. I see it now. And I just love the fact, if you want to know humility, you're it. If you want to know a guy who has succeeded and who, no matter what the storm comes, adversity comes, he may say sometimes, boy, that's a pretty big blow. But next thing you know, he's saddled up another horse and he's running the race again. And so I love that about you, Charlie, and I thank you.
Well, I thank you for, again, mentoring me and being my, closest friend, being my pastor, and allowing me to get to know your family.
Yes, they love you.
You know,
my wife thinks Charlie Lindsey is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, we're not going to tell her any different.
That's right. My son's the same way.
Well,
You've been for my son Brent. You have been, and I told him earlier when he first came on. I said, Brent, there's a couple of people. I said, when my people become your people, then you're in good shape. And he knew who kind of my people were. And I said, now, some of them are just going to accept you because I say so, and some are going to slowly give you the opportunity. But they'll be, in time, every one of them will step on board. And I remember that he would call me. I talked to Charlie, and let me tell you what he told me, and it was always something good. He gave him more info. And then I hear from you, man, I love Brent, and Brent feels that way about you. And it just is, it's one of those best blessings you could get.
Well, I tell you, it's been a privilege to have that trust from you and Debbie.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. I told this Brent. I said, you know, Brent, you and I got together through me honoring your dad. And I said, now I can say I honor you. And we have a totally different relationship because he's a totally different type person. But I love every bit of it. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, I've recently been talking to BJ because it's been fun. I introduced him to a franchise attorney and you know what they're doing and all. Yeah. And so that's been fun for me. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're onto a great idea out there, and you've been a big help for him. He called me and said, Dad, who do you know that you can trust because we're trying to franchise our business and take this thing further, and they're getting a lot of demands. And he said, but it's hard to find the people we know we can trust because they're just looking at the money side. Sure. And I said, I'll tell you who I'd go to. I mean, if anybody knows how to do a business and set it up from nothing and knows where to go and all the landscape, it's Charlie. And he has just thought the world of how he's, you know, just when he thinks, which direction I go, your word has been
Well, it's been fun, and you know, I've stumped my toe a few times, and so it's always good to help good people when it's really on to something good. But again, Bill, I can't. You are, like I said, you literally are quoted in our household, in our businesses. I can't imagine a day that doesn't go by. And so between listening to your tapes, to listening to your sermons, to being blessed enough to know you as a friend, and so it's good because it takes pressure off me, right? Because nobody's going to listen to Charlie Lindsey, but they're going to listen to Bill Purvis. and so at the end of the day, I go, one of my favorite quotes of yours is, prepare for the worst, expect the best. A simple quote, right? How many times do we have to use that, right? I mean, you can use that in every situation, right? Because you're trying to help people, right? Well, let's sit down and prepare for the worst, right? And then, and now all of a sudden everybody's got a game plan. And so from your simple quote, right? And there's 1,000 of them I use. And
if I could live up to my quotes, that'd be great.
Oh, you do. You do. No, here's what's fun, and it's, you know, it's probably not to your advantage, but we are known to be friends now, and so people will tell on you, you won't believe what Mr. Purvis did. He did, and I say that's because he is that guy. That what you say you do every day, and you do kindnesses to different people that you do business with, and because I happen to run into him, and say, oh, here's what he did. He thanked me here. He thanked me that. So yeah, you do it every day.
I'm grateful.
You know, as Ric Flair, you walk the walk and you talk the talk.
It's been that iron sharpens iron, Charlie. That's the way it's been for us.
Well, good.
But I love you. Thank you for giving me your time today.
No, Bill. Thanks for inviting me. And again, I kind of mulled through some of this because I get emotional, but I appreciate it so much.
I love it. No, that's the Charlie I know and love.
If you like that content, you would like to see some more episodes and videos that we have on our channel, make sure you click this button right here. And if you have not yet subscribed, you need to do so. Click this button right over here so that you can subscribe to our channel, as well as hit the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever we release new episodes to you. Thank you again for watching. This is where the leaders are made.